Recording in progress.
Hey guys, I just wanted to real quick hop on here and hopefully explain that assignment a little bit. I had a lot of students absent, and so they were a little confused about what to do, and we kind of talked about it a little more in class, and you didn't have the benefit of that. There were also some people that just didn't do it right, even though you were in class, and so if you don't like your score on that as I'm grading them, or if you just want to like check it before I get to your class, you can kind of watch this video. Hopefully it won't be too long. So first of all, direct versus indirect characterization. This is what we're looking at. You had to take all of the greasers and you had to give a brief description. And I'm going to give you a teacher example in a minute. And then you had to do direct and indirect characterization. And I wanted this from the text. So when I say quote the text, I don't mean it has to be dialogue quote, like Derry is physically saying things with his mouth. I just mean anything that Pony Boy has narrated or that has been said aloud. So when I say quote it, I probably should have written provide text evidence to make that more clear for you. The second thing is people are confusing what direct and indirect are. So when I put this slideshow back up here real quick, direct tells the audience or tells you, the reader, about the character. So, for example, this would be direct. The patient boy and the quiet girl were both well-mannered. There's no question. I don't have to infer it all. I just know because it says literally the kid is patient. For indirect, this is showing me, it's not telling me. So it's more descriptive, but I have to infer with indirect. And there are 5 ways that I can make those inferences. Sometimes it's what the character actually says, but sometimes it's what they do. Like when we talked on page 13 about how Steve flicked his ashes at Pony Boy, and we said that, wow, like that kind of person is, they're mean, they're not very respectful. So we can infer that Steve is disrespectful, and we would use the quote, Steve flicked his ashes on on the page 13. So we can use actions that the character does to infer the kind of person they are. We can look at thoughts. Pony Boy has a lot of thoughts, a lot of private thoughts. So, some of that can be indirect or direct. It just kind of depends. So we'll leave thoughts out of it for now. Sometimes if the character describes someone, that can be indirect as well. And then what effect do they have on the other characters? So the main methods of indirect that you're probably going to be looking at is what is the character doing or what is the character saying that helps me infer something about them. So on your assignment, this is what was asked of you. It said to describe each of the greasers mentioned. In addition to this, give examples of direct characterization and indirect characterization. Answer using complete sentences. Some of you guys are like, he's smart. That's fine. That's a complete sentence. But then I would also need, if you're doing it down here, I would also need where you found that information. But if you're just like smart, cool, that's not enough. So it does say text evidence from the book here. It also asks you to cite it in MLA format, and you can click here for this link. So the slideshow that I just showed is actually right here. You can click on that and in that link in your assignment, and it'll pop up to that little thing I gave you. But then if you click here for MLA, it takes you back to this thing that we had, this author page style. So this is from examples from Lord of the Flies, but the MLA does not change. So you'll see if you want to talk and mention the author at the beginning here, where it says in the text Golding writes, then all I have to put at the end is the page number in parentheses. If you don't mention the author in the beginning, see this one just says in chapter 11, then at the end in parentheses, I have to put the author's last name and page number in parentheses. You'll notice there's no comma between here. I told one class incorrectly, and so I need to correct that. There's no comma there. It's just parentheses, author name. In this case, it would be Hinton, page number. They're going to be lower because we're in the beginning of the book. And you have a period after it, okay? So make sure that you do one of those 2 things. It says if you're paraphrasing, I didn't ask you to paraphrase. I asked you for text evidence, direct quotes. So here it says description of Pony Boy. On these descriptions, and you'll see, like, look, okay, these are some blank ones. Description of Derry. this is basic here in this box. On direct characterization examples from the text, that's where you're going to use actual text edits. So I provided this for you on Pony Boy, and I expect you to do your own for the others if you actually go through and actually watch this video. I may be making this for myself. But so description of Pony Boy, I said Pony Boy is 14. His parents are dead. He's got 2 older brothers, and they are only allowed to stay together if they stay out of trouble. So very brief, nothing too terribly specific. But that's kind of just, now I know more about Pony Boy. And then down here on my my direct characterization examples, I'll just make this large for you. It says Pony Boy is described as having light brown hair. The text states, and I pulled these are student examples actually. So like really there should be a semicolon right here, but we'll pretend that's what that is. It says the text states, I have light brown hair, almost reddish hair, and greenish gray eyes. So you will see here, they have told me the kid has light brown hair. They used direct characterization and quoted it. I have light brown hair. That's the thing. Direct is right there. I don't have to think about it at all. I just have to copy it from the text. And they didn't use the author's name up here. They put it here, sentence 1. Another example. Pony Boy is described as having greenish gray eyes. It should have a period or a semicolon here, but it doesn't. The text says, I have light brown, almost reddish hair, and greenish gray eyes. Sentence 1. So you'll see they use the same quote, but they told me 2 different parts of the description. That's fine. Since they described light brown hair here, greenish gray eyes here, I accepted it as correct. All right, let's look at indirect, because this is what has been confusing people the most. Okay, so they pulled a quote from page 15, and it says, I was still thinking about it while I was doing my homework that night. And it says, this shows that Pony Boy takes responsibility and keeps up with his task. So I'm actually going to cut this, and let's put this here to make this correct. There it is. So you'll see this student, it should look like that. So this student mentioned the author name in the tag, and because of that, all the student has to put here is 15, okay? So S.E. Hinton writes, blah, 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 comma, quotation, space there, parentheses, 15, and period, okay? For the second one, it says, now I'll show you this and adjust it a little bit. The second one says, Pony Boy likes to watch movies alone. This could mean he's more of an introvert, right? So that's what I've inferred. I've inferred that he's an introvert. And I'm showing you the example. It says, in the text, S.E. Hinton writes, and I have a quote, I had a long walk home and no company, but I usually loan it anyway, for no reason except I like to watch movies undisturbed. So we need a comma, quotation. That's not a quotation. A space. We have our page number in parentheses and a period after it, okay? So that's what indirect characterization looks like. We know Pony Boy is responsible because he does his homework. Over here, you could just say Pony Boy, here, since I can fix that. Pony Boy is described as blah, blah, blah. The text states blah, 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 okay? So this is what we're looking at, okay, when we are doing our direct characterization and indirect. So you're looking at a description that is basic. So we have an overall view of the character. And then you have your direct characterization, which is literally like right there in the text. You don't have to think about it at all. The kid's got light brown hair because it literally says he does, okay? And then here, in indirect, it says, I was still thinking about my homework. This shows that Pony Boy takes responsibility. And the other one, you can see as well. So I'm just gonna pull this up if you wanna like take a picture for a second of it. So you have it as an example, or you may wanna just pause it or whatever, I don't know. But you're gonna do this on every single one. So it's 7 points off if you do not do your MLA format. And then it's 1 point off if if you don't do one of these, basically. So each one is worth 5 points, I guess 6 points because it's a total of 42. So you got your links here that you can use and so forth. I hope that helps you. I know a lot of you that have been out, you haven't had that direct instruction with this. You are welcome to come see me on Monday if you need to. But hopefully that will help. Now, if I can remember, oh, hey, look, here's my whole face. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'm going to try to stop this recording.